Hi, I'm Edward Unthank. Let's talk about how to have some different approaches to do work slightly differently using AI tools. And I want to say the first one that we're going to be talking about is to how to have the primary of whatever we're talking about, all the kind of design, the specifics, whatever we want to talk about it, all in a Zoom call. This is the way that we can have a fast gathering of information and a fast exchange of information. Imagine that you have a Zoom call. Imagine that you record said Zoom call and you use something like, we use Fireflies. You can also use Fathom. I know Zoom is hoping to make this themselves if they haven't already. They haven't. And the point on this is every call here, if there's, do that as a little recording button in there. That recording goes into an actual video recording. From there, you have all of the transcript. What you can do is you can take this transcript, this whole recording, take that video, and then ask, for example, Claude. Here's an example. Say, Claude, dear Claude, can you please take, and you upload this as a little paperclip. I don't know how to draw a paperclip, I won't. And then you say, Claude, can you please get out a transcript and summary? Transcript, summary. And then you can do other things like asking for action items. And this is also a path where you can ask for outputs that are specific. We ask for specific types of artifacts. And then the artifacts, I don't remember if it's an E or an I, facts, is the artifacts themselves end up being the driver of the rest of the content that you're doing. So if you're having a call and you're talking with a marketing manager, you can ask to say all of the things that you'd normally go through with a form. Instead of having a marketing manager fill out a form, you can have a scheduled call, talk through what the content looks like, what the audience is, what the targeting looks like, what the flow of chain of emails and wait steps and logic, branching, anything like that. You can just turn it into a conversation. And then from that conversation, you can then say, okay, great, I know that I'm going to go and I'm going to ask Claude, for example, for a few action items to say, take this video and generate a transcript and a summary and an action item. And then from there, we can have another layer of improvement where we say, now we ask for more structured. You can do these via a Claude skill, but then we can ask for a campaign brief. A campaign brief, if we blow out the requirements on these, then this campaign brief can be very structured. We can ask the question like, what's the target audience? And then we ask what the specific audience is. It'll be in a verbiage, and then we can translate into the technical language. We can ask for audience plus exclusion list. Need to figure out always the exclusion list. We can go through and come up with a script of everything about your campaign brief, which is the core of how you should be doing any campaigns, is it needs to come into a campaign brief, which is kind of filling out this large thing of all the content. You can turn that and get that from a Zoom call. And that is a new approach to these things. And I think it is a much more efficient approach to these things as you're having conversations between a marketing manager trying to design campaigns as well as into the campaign operations world and the marketing operations world. Because we care about getting it from abstraction into really specific, fill out some of these things. And then from this, we can build out our audience, our logic, our campaign, our program, our emails, whatever else it is. But the whole point is we can ask for and get a designed artifact called a campaign brief. You can even, if you're going for extra credit, you can call this a skill. And then you're future-proofed because from the campaign brief, then you have the ability to plug this in, for example, into the Marketo world. Then we just go into the next step, an MCP. And then if we have an MCP, we take this campaign brief and then we can start to act on it very significantly. And that may look like make a draft email, then design or go through the specific content and replace the content of the actual email in the email editor, all the way to designing the smart list criteria if that so exists. But right now, this MCP and today's date, which is 4/9/2026, doesn't really exist in a positive way, and it's going to be on a roadmap. Everyone's roadmap, Marketo, everyone's roadmap. They're all designing into this path. So, future proof. You need to take input of a video, input of a meeting. Make sure that you have an agenda for the meeting, which will cover off verbally all the necessary steps, all the way to the point where you have a campaign brief output. You don't necessarily need to say that this is the biggest hurdle for any of your marketing managers to go. You can automate the creation of a campaign brief. That's the future. That's AI. You can do it. You can do it right now. So, Edward Unthank, thanks. I'm run Etumos, a marketing operations consulting company. We've been doing this for a long time. I'm excited to see how AI can make the job better and easier and faster. Thanks.